Chapter 192 Walpurgis. The series of disturbances that began when we tried to recover Veldora has finally come to an end. With the ability fusion process complete, I'm feeling incredibly cheerful. But that doesn't mean I can just sit back and enjoy it. As much as I want to relax and have fun exploring the labyrinth, I have more pressing matters to deal with, specifically preparing for the battle against Angra Mainyu that will take place in a few weeks. To strengthen our position, I want to build a collaborative relationship among the Demon Lords. And the best way to start is by holding another Walpurgis. The invitations have already been sent out. When I contacted Ruminas, she responded angrily at first, especially since her plans to confront the Empire's army were made pointless, thanks to Veldora's intervention. Still, I think she'll show up. I also reached out to Guy and invited him as well. It's become quite easy to gather approval from three demon lords now. Ramirez woke up too and immediately exploded with anger. That dino! I'm going to pulverize him. Even though she was angry, her usual energy was back, which was oddly amusing. Getting her approval was simple. Here, have some pudding and cheer up. Oh, and can you sign this approval form while you're at it? Ooh, is that pudding? I can eat all of it? Then sure, anything's fine. I got her magical seal easily. Pudding is a lifesaver when dealing with her. Leon also gave his approval without hesitation when I informed him. Milim, on the other hand, has been restless from not being allowed to play lately. She's been itching to do something fun. How about you come to Tempest under the excuse of attending the conference? She lit up instantly. As expected of you, Rimuru, you're always so clever. She was excited by the idea and ran off to convince Frey right away. Since she agreed easily, I'll prepare more pudding for her visit. Ramirez might steal it otherwise. With that, I've secured the support of five demon lords, including myself. Thanks to the groundwork I laid while synthesizing skills in the Empire, everything is proceeding smoothly. Aside from information sharing, we also need to prepare for the upcoming Great War. Holding the Walpurgis soon is the best course of action. 5 days have passed since then, and I've returned to Tempest. The Walpurgis will be held tomorrow. Krishna arrived as scheduled, so everything's set. After Dino's betrayal, the Octogram now only have 7 members. However, except for Ramirez, all the others are awakened demon lords, a level of power that's never been gathered in one place before. Honestly, with how strong they all are, the term awakened doesn't even feel special anymore. Still, that might not be a bad thing. In any case, preparation is key. Milim will arrive in the morning, and we're getting ready to welcome her. After Walpurgis, she'll be staying in Tempest for 3 days. I'll likely be busy with preparations, so I'm not sure I'll have time to relax, but maybe I can sneak away for a bit. She's looking forward to hanging out with Vildora and Ramirez, so maybe I'll ask the others to cover for me. That said, a curious thought occurred to me. Milim always flies to visit. I've never seen her use teleportation gate. Can she even teleport? Since Ray is flying too, it never really came up. But I'll ask Milim when she arrives. If she can't teleport, I'll install a teleportation circle for her. That way, she can come and go easily. Though, considering her speed, she could probably fly here in under 30 minutes if she goes all out. When Milim finally arrived, she headed straight to the Walpurgis venue. While we were relaxing and chatting, Mizari and Hirari came to escort us, just like last time. Demon Lord Rimuru-sama, thank you for granting us the secret method of evolution. They bowed deeply, expressing gratitude for evolving. I didn't think it was a big deal, but to them it must have felt special since only I could do it. Huh? Secret method of evolution? What's that? Milim was curious, so I distracted her with cake. Works every time. She's as easy to handle as Ramirez. With that, we passed through the gate Mizari had created and entered the meeting hall. My attendants were Sean and Diablo. Milim was with Frey, and Ramirez was sitting on Beretta's shoulder. At that moment, I took a closer look at Beretta's stats. Name, Beretta. Race, Chaos Metalloid, High Rank, Divine Monster Spirit. Divine Protection, Labyrinths, Divine Protection. Title, Ramirez Guardian. Magic, Darkness Magic. Ultimate Skill, Machine Doll Lord. Deus Ex Machina. Thought Acceleration. Condition Control. Mineral Manipulation. Space Manipulation. Multiple Barrier. Other skills, Omnipotent. Perception. Demon Lord's Aura. Combat skills, Earth Law Manipulation. Holy Demonic Fusion. Resistances. Nullification of physical, spiritual, and status attacks. nullification of natural effects, resistance to wholly demonic hybrid attacks. Wow, he can manipulate minerals freely, though he still needs raw materials. It's like he can control the elements. Condition control was interesting too. It allows him to freely control the state of metal. He's like that villain made of liquid metal from that old sci-fi movie. Beretta's default form looks like a finely crafted doll with globe joints, but he can shapeshift and summon weapons at will. He can even absorb materials on contact, like a slime. The doll I casually created for a summoned demon has evolved into something terrifying. Led by Mizari, the seven of us entered the hall. Now then, I needed to speak with Guy, so I encouraged Melim and the others to take their seats. They looked like they wanted to ask something, but sat down obediently, probably because I promised cake later. Leaving Melim and Ramirez behind, Mizari guided me to Guy. Last night, Chloe had come to visit me. We sat in the parlor and talked through the night. I don't need sleep, so I was able to listen closely to her story about jumping through time and what happened to Hinata's soul after she left me. Sensei, have I gotten stronger? You've grown so much, that's what I wanted to say, but I knew she was carrying a burden beyond what words could express. It would be unfair to just give her easy praise. So instead, I said, "Ha, you're still weak, not even close. A hero should never show weakness in front of a demon lord, but I'll admit you've done well. So endure a little longer." Putting on a bit of an act, I tried to encourage her without making her feel pitied. Chloe looked relieved, even happy, at my words. After that, we decided to spar. It was a test to see if she could face someone like Guy. Two practice swords were brought, and we prepared. You've gotten taller, Sensei. You remind me a bit of Shizu Sensei. She smiled as she took her sword. Well, I guess I would resemble her. I based my human form on Shizu, after all. There was no referee. We would begin when a coin I tossed hit the ground. As it spun and fell, Chloe and I moved at the exact same moment. Her ultimate skill, Space-Time Lord Yogso thought, clashed with my own Void God Azathoth. The match was intense and dead even. Then I saw a brief opening in her guard. I moved in to strike, only to find a blade already in front of my face. Hehe, I win, right? No way, I was stunned. Instead of testing her power, I had been completely outclassed. Master, time control has been activated. Following that voice, I used my ability. Time came to a complete stop. My perception accelerated a millionfold, and I saw that the world had frozen in place. Not only had my cognition been enhanced, but my physical movement as well. So much so that I could now move at a speed 1 million times faster than normal. In essence, by manipulating the flow of time, I could accelerate myself. This wasn't simple, super acceleration. It was a superpower distinct in nature. However, as a side effect, it rendered me unable to exert any physical influence on the world around me. Only I could move within this warped time space. No, not just me. Chloe could move here as well. Awawa Sensei really is amazing. You're able to exist in this suspended world. Skip the praise. Something like this is easy for a demon lord like me. Though I hadn't meant to show off, I found myself responding that way. Even if she had only been my student for a few months, I couldn't afford to show weakness in front of her. Compared to the vast span of years Chloe had lived, those few months were but a blink. And yet, no, to me, those fleeting moments, those ordinary days, were treasures beyond compare. Was it just my imagination? I thought I heard something. Something gentle and faint. Our duel ended in a draw. Chloe's swordsmanship had reached its peak. In terms of skill, she surpassed even Albert and Agera. With her mastery of swordsmanship and time manipulation, few in the world could pose a threat to her. Inside the suspended world, emission type abilities were nullified. Magic could not be invoked. Perhaps I could do it with more practice, but it would be difficult. Even future prediction was disabled. In this frozen realm, I had only my raw technique and physical prowess to rely on. Abilities that activated through contact, however, still functioned. In the hands of a master like Chloe, even such limitations became advantages. With just a compatible ability, she could become the strongest. But really, there aren't many who could function in this dimension. Among my own followers, only Diablo, Benimaru, and Zijon might have the potential to adapt. But even for them, the probability of success under current conditions was 1 in 10,000. It wasn't something they could simply receive as a gift and instantly master. Perhaps Chloe's true aim had been to let me experience this dimension, to see whether I could learn to navigate it. I wondered, did I meet her expectations? After all, I had promised to defeat Yuki, to free her from his grasp. She need not worry. Failure is not an option. I would show her through results. After our match, we chatted for a bit longer. Chloe had seen the moment Dinosaur Alice attacked the town and had wanted to intervene, but there had been no need. My subordinates had managed on their own. She said as much, praising their strength. I felt a bit embarrassed, but also deeply proud. We exchanged a few more words, and then Chloe said, Sensei, when the Great War begins, I will challenge Demon Lord Guy Crimson. Her tone had grown serious. I've been ordered to stop him. If we can prevent him from joining the battle, we might avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Please, if possible, try to persuade him. I nodded. Guy is surprisingly reasonable. I'll speak with him. You get along well with Leon too, right? I'll ask for his help as well. Good idea. Go meet with Leon Oni-chan then. Okay, as she turned to go, I patted her head. Heh. She beamed, her smile radiant. Then she bowed, lifting her head and faced me with a resolute gaze. Then Sensei, may fortune be with you in battle. With those parting words, she vanished from sight. Later, I met with Guy. That's why I need just a bit more time until Chloe is free. I emphasized that point. What would his reaction be? Honestly, it didn't matter. What mattered most was Chloe's liberation. Guy's circumstances were secondary. Chloe was powerful, tremendously so, but Guy was equally dangerous. If the two of them clashed with full force, no one could predict the outcome. Both were hiding the true extent of their abilities. You've got some nerve showing up like this. But I get it. Guy leaned back and smirked. If it's the hero, she's more than worthy. They've called her all sorts of names. The nameless hero, the jet black hero, and she's the one both Leon and Ruminus have been searching for. What a small world, huh? Well, I'll indulge her. Seems like fun. He agreed more easily than I expected. Maybe he felt indebted to me for awakening his subordinates, or maybe he just wanted to fight Chloe for the thrill of it. Still, I had secured their promise not to go all out, to keep it to a skirmish. That said, Guy was a battle junkie. There was always a risk it could escalate. I'd let fate decide. At least I was glad we had a good relationship. Among demon lords, such camaraderie was rare. Yuki didn't seem to realize the extent of our coordination. If he had, he might have issued Chloe a different command. While Dino had some idea, he didn't know the full story. He probably just thought Guy had stopped by to see Milim. As for Ruminas, he might suspect our cooperation, but since I'd avoided contact with Leon, Dino likely hadn't grasped the full picture. Dino's laziness worked in our favor. He was trustworthy in the things he didn't know. Yuki probably expected Chloe to kill or at least weaken Guy, but her true orders were vague, just to keep Guy occupied. Most likely, Angra Mainyu's objective is to suppress Guy's interference, not eliminate him outright. If he exerted too much control over Chloe, it would prevent him from unleashing his full power. So instead, he gives her loose orders, minimizing resistance. Currently, Angra Mainyu is capable of using 100% of his power. And another thing, while Yuki and Angra Mainyu share the same goals, their methods are entirely different. I see. In other words, rather than tightly controlling Chloe, Angra Mainyu saw more value in using her loosely, keeping his full strength intact. Yuki couldn't have used her that efficiently, but Angra Mainyu, he was calculating. This would be difficult. He was sharp, no wasted movements, no detours. He was the kind of opponent who would always choose the most efficient path to his goal. I'd need to be at least best to deal with him. After my talk with Guy, we returned to the meeting chamber. Everyone was already seated at the round table except for Guy and me. And Dino, of course. That guy was only a big shot in theory. As soon as Guy took his seat, the meeting began. First, I submitted my status report, distributing the analysis I had compiled on the war with the Empire. At the same time, I declared that the Empire's territory was now under my control. To my surprise, the other demon lords agreed without objection. Usually, that kind of declaration would lead to interruptions, heated arguments, and power struggles, but not this time. No one dared challenge me. I wasn't weaker, I was much stronger. In fact, there wasn't a single demon lord present who would benefit from opposing me. After my report, we moved into an analysis of the broader situation. As I finished, Daggerwell muttered, Did Dino betray us? Guy didn't seem surprised. He had probably suspected as much, but Daggerwell had been close to Dino. it hit differently for him. Rather than betrayal, it's more like he was never on our side to begin with. I replied calmly. Honestly, I always thought he'd get along better with someone like Yuki. Dagrawell and Guy both froze at my words. That guy even tried to kill me, Ramirez added, her voice annoyed. Something about how I became an obstacle to that person, some old acquaintance of his or something. That sealed it. No way, Guy murmured. Unbelievable, but maybe, Dagrawell frowned, clearly troubled. The meeting continued without further complications. As promised, Guy remained in place, leaving Mizari to handle potential emergencies in his stead. Hirari stood by as Guy's personal bodyguard, likely by her own decision. With their evolution, Mizari and Hizari had begun acting more independently. Ruminas maintained her preparations. Having already armed for the Empire's invasion, I asked her to stay ready. We had to remain alert. Angramainyu wouldn't hesitate to invade the western nations. Leon and Dagruel both had armies. Milim forces, organized by Carrion, were also well trained. Demon lords had a duty to defend their realms. Since Guy's land was uninhabitable for humans, it wouldn't be targeted. Technically, I could have stayed idle, but Guy's subordinates, under Misery, would serve as the reserve force for the Western defense. Ang Gramainyu's miscalculation lay in underestimating our connections, and we had Dino's sloppy scouting to thank for that. All in all, the situation wasn't bad, as long as the enemy didn't exceed our expectations, but this conference had been convened to prepare for exactly that possibility. We solidified our cooperative systems and drew up contingency plans. The meeting concluded without any issues. Each demon lord returned to their territory preparing for the war to come. I installed teleportation circles to ensure smooth travel and coordination. Mizari took me to various sites to record the coordinates. Turns out Milim, Dagrawell, and even Ramirez couldn't use teleportation magic. Well, I'm terrible at that kind of thing, Ramirez confessed. Same here, Milim added. Why bother when I can fly? Teleportation required precise calculations, image, location coordinates, not exactly their strength. Milim relied on instinct. Dagrawell was, well, a musclehead. And Ramirez was Ramirez. That's why I proposed setting up permanent teleportation gates at their locations and received full approval. As we parted, Leon approached me. I'm leaving, Chloe, to you. I simply nodded, no words needed. He gave a quiet nod in return and walked away. It's a secret, but I still think he's a pompous, ridiculously handsome man. Now that we had the intel and about 3 to 4 weeks to prepare, the demon lords scattered, each returning home to ready themselves for the upcoming Great War. End of chapter 192.